Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, October 31st, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, we have a handful of feasts there today. To start us off, the Abbot Orsini tells us that they celebrate the miracle at Saint Fort in Chartier in France. In the year 1116, an altar boy having fallen into the well of Saint Fort, which is in the church of Chartres, was saved by Our Lady. All the time that he was in the well, he heard the angels answering the public prayers which were chanted in the church. Whence the custom arose at Chartres that the church never answer aloud to the Dominus Vobiscum, chanted at high mass and canonical hours, right? Because they allow the angels to reply. Also, we're told that in El Jordán, Pereira, in Risaralda, in Colombia, they celebrate Maria Llave Espiritual de la Fe, Mary, spiritual key of faith. We're told that this is an apparition that took place in 1990, so it may, I don't think this was one of them that has been approved, so you can take that for what you will. But we do know that Mary is the key to our faith. She does explain all the mysteries to us, and she helps us grow in our love for her Son, Jesus Christ. And they also celebrate in San Salvador, in Jujuy, in Argentina, La Virgen del Río Blanco y Paypaya. So on this day, the image of Our Lady of the Rosary, the patroness of Jujuy province, goes from its altar in a side chapel of Jujuy Cathedral to its original sanctuary of Rio Blanco. And thousands of pilgrims from all over accompany Our Lady on foot, right? They walk for miles, many barefoot, in keeping with tradition. The procession leaves the cathedral by candlelight before dawn. Along the way, Misa Chicos, family groups bringing their own patron saints' images covered with flowers, join in singing greetings to Our Lady. These groups are usually accompanied by their own musicians dressed in gaudy clothes and using traditional cane and wooden flutes. From time to time, the huge pipe-shaped erke huffs over their singing voices, and the sound of the drums resounds in the sunrise. Daybreak finds the procession at its goal, the small sanctuary of Rio Blanco, where fireworks mark the joy of the Virgin brings. The story goes that in colonial times, the Virgin of the Rosary, with a radiant mantle and small baton, appeared and turned back the Tobas warriors attacking the Spanish settlement. After the battle, a small image of unknown origin, carrying a staff, was found in the combat zone beneath a big tree. This is now the image in the cathedral, crowned October 31st, 1920. That's why they celebrate today, October 31st. Usually dressed in a white gown with a light blue veil, the statue depicts Our Lady standing with the child in her left arm. Another statue of Our Lady resides in the sanctuary in the town of Rio Blanco, right, the White River, which is Paypaya in the native language, where another great celebration takes place on January 6th. And so that is what we are celebrating today in the Marian world on October 31st. For today's reading from True Devotion to Mary by St. Louis de Montfort, we continue with the second part on the excellence of this devotion, and we're continuing with the second section, Motives for this Perfect Consecration. If you recall, we've already seen the first, that it gives us entirely the service of God through the hands of Mary. The second is that it shows us just how just it is and advantageous to Christians to give ourselves to Mary. And then third, he doesn't come out and say it directly. He says that the Most Holy Virgin Mother, who is the mother of sweetness and mercy, never lets herself be vanquished in love and liberality. So he says, when we give ourselves entirely to Jesus through Mary, Mary also gives herself entirely to us. So it's like we have all her virtues, all those things, and we can call upon them. So let's continue to see what the saint has to say about this. We'll continue with point 146. As by this practice we give to our Lord by his mother's hands all our good works, that good mother purifies them, embellishes them, and makes them acceptable to her Son. So he lists that as like a secondary point of this, that so not only we give everything to Mary, but also she makes it more beautiful when it's given to her Son. So he says these are sub-points that we have afterwards. Point 2.1, still under point 146. She purifies them of all the soil of self-love, and of that imperceptible attachment to the creature, which slips incessantly into our best actions. As soon as they are in her most pure and fruitful hands, those same hands which have never been sullied or idle, and which purify whatever they touch, take away from the present which we make to her all that was spoiled or imperfect about it. So, again, he's talking about our good mother purifies, embellishes, and makes acceptable all our good works that we give to her, to give to Jesus. So she embellishes them because she adorns them with her own, or she purifies them because she gets rid of all the nasty, like that self-love and, our desire to please ourselves, all these things. She just cleans them up. And then at point 147, this is the second sub-point, she embellishes our works in adorning them with her own merits and virtues. It is as if a peasant, wishing to gain the friendship and benevolence of the king, went to the queen and presented her with the fruit which was his whole revenue, in order that she might present it to the king. The queen, having accepted the poor little offering from the peasant, would place the fruit on a large and beautiful dish of gold, and so on the peasant's behalf would present it to the king. Then the fruit, however unworthy in itself to be a king's present, would become worthy of his majesty, because of the dish of gold on which it rested, and the person who presented it. That's a very beautiful image when we think about it, that Mary embellishes our works by adorning them with her own merits and virtues. So maybe what we would offer Jesus, we'd be like, oh wow, that's not really that impressive. That doesn't look so nice. But Mary, like a good mother and queen, just, decorates it, adorns it, and then it becomes worthy of the king. It says, and why? Because of the gold dish and the person who presented it. And then at point 148, we have the third sub-point where it says that, like we said earlier, our mother purifies, embellishes, and makes these good works acceptable. And it says here, she presents these good works to Jesus Christ, for she keeps nothing of what is given for herself, as if she was our last end. She refers it all faithfully to Jesus. If we give it to her, we give necessarily to Jesus. If we praise her or glorify her, we at once praise and glorify Jesus. As of old when St. Elizabeth praised her, so now when we praise and bless her, she sings herself, Magnificat anima mea Dominum. My soul magnifies the Lord.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Marian podcast. As St. John Paul II teaches us, from Mary we learn to love Christ, her Son, the Son of God. Through her intercession, may we grow ever closer to Him. We encourage you to share this with a loved one or friend and help spread our devotion to Mary. Thank you, and God bless.